No, I'm
What
not.
does your hat say?
ICE.
What does that stand for?
Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement.
Hey, emotions, man. Just listen.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Shank. I
guys.
live as a capitalist, okay? I live what I believe.
No.
What do? I get charity every single year.
Why is that valid?
That's true. That's right.
How am I a fascist? You want to talk?
Mark, that's right. So I would just say,
I am a liberal, and I would like to discuss with you the topic of abortion today. I know, yeah, and that's okay. I firmly believe that the pro-life argument is something that is held in good faith, and I used to side with that. But I think from a philosophical background, I don't think it holds the scrutiny, and I'm happy to present my argument for you on that. All right. So before, I would like to establish a few, I'll say foundations that we can probably agree on. So the first argument I'd like to make is that this has to be within a secular framework, which I believe you have said that you can defend from a secular frame. Is that correct?
Yes, however, define secular.
Not coming from religion, so no appeals to like a divine entity or like objective, like universal rights, for example.
Well, can we agree murder is wrong?
Yes.
Is that an objective truth?
Not necessarily, because you could ask the question,
wow.
Wait, listen, I can answer that. Murder, by definition, is wrong because it is the unjust killing. So you would have to make the argument, is killing objectively wrong, which obviously in cases of self-defense is not. So that is my statement.
Was Hitler objectively evil?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask a Nazi, he's going to say no. If you ask a Nazi, to me, of course he was, but I'm not a Nazi.
Was the Holocaust objectively evil?
It depends on who you ask.
I hope you can see this is where, I did this for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
This is where A, secular philosophy leads you, where you're not able to say objectively Holocaust wrong, and B, most abortionists at their core do not believe the Holocaust was objectively wrong. That's not a criticism of you.
Sure.
That is a fact of philosophical morality.
Sure.
And I'm not trying to be unfair to you. I know you said you're nervous, but that is the furthest extrapolation of basically secular pro-abortion worldview. I interrupted you, so please continue. But at least we can agree murder is wrong.
By definition, it has to be.
Okay, well, it actually doesn't have to be.
I disagree.
Okay, but we said is murder objectively wrong?
By its definition, it has to be.
Okay. You're gonna have to further educate me on that one.
Sure,
but
easy.
you mentioned abortion, so continue.
Sure. But at least can we agree that for the purpose of this conversation, as you stated in Jubilee,
I will not appeal to Scripture or God's Word or
like an objective,
Christ our
like
Lord.
moral, like unity or in the universe or anything like that.
Well, again, at some point we're going to appeal to some agreed upon moral framework.
Yes.
Which is the same thing as appealing to religion. But for the purpose of this argument, I will use agreed upon Western morality and bioethics, biology, and reason for the point of this discussion.
Excellent, thank you. The second point I would like to ask is, I would like to make the statement that we ought to respect and I want to make this statement clear, the wants and desires of the unconscious, such as dead people, sleeping people, comatose people, etc. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, what wants does a dead person have?
Easy. So, no, I can answer that. So, for example, let's say I have a heart attack right now, but my friends, let's say Charlie, I tell you, I would like to be cremated, right? And let's say you're like, sure, Ethan, I can take care of that. I think that you now have a moral obligation because you have agreed
Fair enough,
to that.
I got it. But
right?
actually, the dead person doesn't have the want. It was a wish while you were alive.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
Got it.
I absolutely agree.
Fine.
But I do believe that there is a
Fair
moral
enough.
compulsion.
This is a long wind-up, so let's
No,
get to
it's
that.
important, I promise you. I promise. But I'm glad we agree on that. Nextly, I want to make the argument that it is not life in of itself that we value, but it is the human experience that we value.
No, I don't agree there.
Okay. Should we have let... are you familiar with the Terry Schiavo case?
Very.
Should we have let her basically be unplugged?
Well, it's a question of we. Who is we? The government, society, or the family that made the ultimate decision?
It can be any.
Well, no, it actually matters. So which we are we talking about? the doctors, the medical professionals, the county, the state of Florida, right? I mean, there's a lot. There's like 9 different layers involved in this. But so let me just educate the audience. The Terri Schiavo case is the most high-profile, quote-unquote, brain-dead case of this modern era. Beautiful young woman goes into basically a coma, and what ensued was a series of lawsuits where some people in the family wanted to keep her on life support, and some people wanted to basically pull the plug. The government intervened. However, someone who is quote-unquote brain dead is actually far more alive than you might realize. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, a woman for example, she still goes through her menstrual cycle? So if a woman is brain dead, how is she still menstruating and ovulating? Maybe we are more than just our brain activity. Maybe there's a lot that happens in our being beyond just what we can detect on a SPECT scan. Secondly, a brain dead person, because I understand where you're going towards this.
Sure.
A brain dead individual, quote unquote brain dead, there have been instances, albeit very rare, where people that have no detectable brain activity actually come out of that and they have full consciousness. Very, very rare, but those are documented cases. Did you know that someone that is brain dead, if you happen to, let's just say, put a knife in their knee, their norepinephrine and their adrenaline increases, even though they are brain dead, their immediate adrenaline response goes up. And so what you consider as brain dead, they're actually very much alive. Let me make one final point. To the menstruation part, a brain dead woman can get pregnant and deliver a child. She's not dead, it's just that her brain waves have decreased significantly.
May I respond?
Yeah, sure.
There is need to strongly emphasize in colleges that waiting to have sexual relations until marriage is the way to go. Absolutely. Then you can support your own child. You can support your own child. And this mindset is desperately needed in America. Desperately needed. Raising your own child in a safe, loving, supportive home with 2 different married parents is the best gift that you can provide for a child or children. It's the best gift, ladies and gentlemen. Many women, they actually feel regret for unaliving their babies inside their wombs. They feel regret, even though it might seem like they are making the right choice at the time. A lot of women later struggle with feelings of sadness, guilt, and even loss. There are so many cases that have been reported about these things, ladies and gentlemen. So many cases. They might think about what could have been if they've kept the baby. And these thoughts can stay with them for a long time. You see? Sometimes the decision feels overwhelming because of pressure from the others or maybe difficult situations. But hey, we should never make decisions with an eternal consequence because of the temporal challenge you might have faced. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Excellent. So there was a lot to unpack there, and because there's so much, and we only have so much time, I'm going to address the first thing that you said between who is we, and to that I would probably, I'm not going to make a hard standing on this, but at least at a first thought, I would argue that it is between the loved ones of Terri Schiavo and the doctors who are taking care of them. I think that's a question that's between the person who is injured, the people taking care of them, and the doctors.
So let's fast forward this to abortion, and I can kind of cut to the essence of it. When does life begin?
Conception.
Oh, it does begin at conception.
I agree.
Okay. So
Yes.
then should every life be protected post-conception?
I believe that every conscious experience that the human body has should be protected. Not necessarily life in of itself, as I personally, and as many people in the audience would agree. If I became brain dead, if I or you became brain dead, and there was no chance of you ever waking up, you probably would want them to pull the plug. And if you disagree, that's okay, but I don't think that's the case.
Hold on, but a 4-week-old baby left uninterrupted and properly nourished does wake up and have full consciousness and brain waves.
Correct.
So it's a completely different thing. You're talking about someone that has very little likelihood of brain activity reemerging versus a unborn baby in utero who inevitably will almost certainly have brain activity. So interrupting one actually prevents the development of consciousness, where interrupting the other actually does not.
May I respond? The issue I have with this is the conscious experience hasn't begun yet. For example, let's say this person right here to my left, if like I like punch him really hard, there is a person who we give moral consideration to that I have enacted violence upon, and we can make a objective statement on that, or he obviously has a conscience. We can agree on that. We can make an objective statement that I have violated what he wants. But the thing is, a fetus prior to approximately 20 weeks, or at least that's what I've read, does not have a conscious experience. Therefore, it cannot care.
Brainwaves start a lot earlier than that. They start around 8 to 10 weeks. But brainwaves and consciousness are not necessarily the same thing, right?
Correct.
So this is where we differ.
Yes.
We believe that the human experience is more than just brainwaves. And I've proven it to you that your body still continues to function even though your brain is brain dead, menstruate, adrenaline spike, so on and so forth. There is evidence to show that there's a lot more going on here than just the material between both of your ears. I suppose the question that I would ask, though, is do we have a moral right to protect humans along the stage of development, regardless of whether or not they can feel or sense experience at that period of time?
Do you mind if I rewind back to Terry Schiavo? Because I don't think you gave an objective answer to this. Should we have unplugged Terry Schiavo, who would have never waken up?
That wasn't my family member. It's a very difficult...
Let's say you were.
The answer is I don't know.
If you had to guess, or let's say you do have a family member, and it does happen.
The answer,
we can do a trial.
It depends on the patient's wishes, first and foremost.
Let's say you don't know.
Yeah, again, it's a very subjective thing. I tend to go towards life. I tend towards the continuation of life.
Okay, so then you, let's say you have a very close relative, and that person would not ever wake up from a persistent vegetative state. Then you would not allow that person effectively like euthanasia. So yes,
it's too much of a hypothetical. I don't know because it depends on circumstances. There's a lot of difficulties and complexities. It depends on their age, depends on their case history. It depends on whether or not they're responding to people's voices. All sorts of different things. However, you are conflating two separate things. You're talking about one that is highly likely to stay in a vegetative state versus a being that is
Can the crowd be quiet, please? I'm trying to listen.
Is alongside a process of human development.
Can you all be quiet, please?
So again, we have a fundamental difference of what we believe a human being is. We believe a human being is far more than just consciousness and reason. And we know this. I mean, this is objectively a proven fact. You are more than your 5 senses. Would you agree with that?
I don't know how to answer that.
So I want you to think for a second. Are you only 5 senses?
The best I can answer is and this is going to be very vague, but because that's a very hard question to ask, I am essentially me. The 5 senses are a incorporate part of me, but I don't think that necessarily pertains to my argument personally.
Well, it does, because basically consciousness is exhibited in 5 senses, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, it is. So, but the point being is, which one of your 5 senses tells you there's only 5? There's something above just your 5 senses that transcend it.
This sounds kind of like a non-secular argument when you make this like ascension like thing, and we have to keep.
No, I mean you can be a secularist and still believe in a soul. You can believe an idea that there is a being within you that is above reason. So anyway, we're just going to disagree. Let me ask you just one final question.
Wait, because I'm approaching you, can I ask?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it has been a little. Yeah, sure.
Sure. But the thing, the ultimate crux of my argument is that because there is no sentience, right? In the same way, like if I were to punch a person, there's a person with a clear consciousness that I am enacting violence upon, and this is a bad thing. But because there was never consciousness to ever experience, I don't understand how we can have harm or suffering in that moral system, since nothing was ever negatively acted upon.
Great question. If I go under general anesthesia, do you have a right to kill me?
You already agreed with me that we need to value the rights of people who are unconscious. You already agreed.
No, I know, but if I'm under general anesthesia.
Yes, and you're unconscious.
Okay, but explain to me the difference between unconsciousness and then the Terry Schiavo case, because people come out of brain dead all the time.
You just said it was extremely rare, and also we
acknowledge
have very great methods of determining whether someone's going to be in a persistent vegetative state. So we do have the tools to be able to tell when a person is going to come back.
I keep going back to this, but is a 6-week-old baby going to stay in a persistent vegetative state?
No, but it doesn't have an experience to begin with, and therefore, why is it granted moral consideration?
Got it. Because we believe that all human life is equal, regardless of its size, level of development, environment, or its degree of dependency.
But then people who say that they would pull the plug on Terry Schiavo are now violating that principle, no?
Not necessarily. Again, the Schiavo case has a lot more complexities. And again, to conflate a brain-dead individual with a fetus that is struggling to develop and alive, or a baby, they're two completely different things.
No, yeah, you're right, and that's why
one has an
they
entire
are
life
different.
ahead of it.
So no.
Does not.
So I'm sorry, I'm getting excited. The thing with Terry Schiavo is that she would never have a human experience whatsoever ever again.
I do want to get to the next question, but let me just ask one final thing. Would you like to see less abortions in America?
It depends on the context.
Okay. Yeah.
As long as no moral harm is done to a person that we give
Are you
moral
glad you were not aborted?
If I was aborted, I wouldn't care. Because you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't care. And that's a fact.
Okay. We have a big difference of opinion. The final thing I'll say is this. We believe that life is a gift and an amazing thing, and to deprive another being of life is you then using basically your incumbent power structure to interrupt somebody else from being able to flourish and prosper, which we consider to be the apex of immorality.
It's very important for young people to learn to take responsibility for their actions, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important. Every choice we make has consequences. Consequences. And understanding this helps us to grow into mature, trustworthy adults. There is no running away from this. When young people take responsibility, they show that they can be relied on. They can be relied on. Yes. Whether the results whether if they are good or bad, we should always take responsibility. Always. Because learning responsibility, it actually means you're admitting of the mistakes that you've made. You are willing to fix problems. You're making better decisions for the future. Better decisions for the future. And it even helps to build self-respect and respect from others. You see? Family members, friends, communities, you name it. You name it. When people accept responsibility, they will learn also other important skills like integrity, honesty. You see, so it has a snowball effect when we take responsibility. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, just imagine the countless souls, the babies who never got the chance to live because of abortions. Just imagine. I mean, just picture them returning to God and feeling deeply hurt. Maybe saying, they don't want me. They don't want me, God. They don't want me to live. I mean, it's a heartbreaking thought just to think about it. It's a heartbreaking thought. Little lives full of potential, full of hope, never given the chance to grow, never given the chance to love, to experience the world. Can you imagine? These innocent souls didn't ask to be brought into difficult situations, and yet they're the ones to pay for it. They're the ones to pay for it. And they will lose their chance at life. I mean, thinking about this reminds us of the preciousness of every life and the importance of protecting and valuing it from the very beginning. From the very beginning. Because God values people more than anything. He created people in His own image and His own likeness. So people are important to God. They are. And He wants a relationship with each and every one of them. He wants a relationship. Unlike the rest of other creation that reflects His power and beauty and creativity, human beings, we are unique, you see, because we were made like Him, to be like Him. to think like him. You see? Yeah, that's what it means being born in his image and in his likeness. Possessing the ability to think, to love, and to choose freely. That's a great gift. That's a great gift. And this special status shows that God is not only concerned about the universe in terms of the buildings, the trees, or even the religious rituals that people do. No, but his main concern is the very people themselves. The very people themselves. Each individual has inherent worth, not because of their achievements or because of status or how big their office is. No, but simply because they are loved by their Creator. God loves people so much, so much. Remember the words of Jesus in Matthew 24:12? And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. The love of many will grow cold. And Jesus was warning about a time in the future when the world will experience a significant breakdown of moral and ethical standards. A significant breakdown. Lawlessness, ladies and gentlemen, it simply is the rejection of God's word, God's commandments, God's guidances. Just leading people to act anyhow they think without regard for justice. Without regard for justice. Or even others. Can you imagine? This societal decay is actually a sign of spiritual and moral decline. A moral decline. Where sinful behaviors are normalized, the pursuit of people, their desires, it then takes precedence over being good, loving others, walking in righteousness. That's terrible. That is terrible. I mean, for instance, no person, you don't have to unalive your children in order to achieve your dreams. No. Many people, especially in today's society, they are often led to believe that having children will completely limit their opportunities or prevent them from achieving their personal goals. And that's a terrible philosophy. That's a terrible philosophy. And this mindset is rooted in a false belief that parenthood is a burden and it must be avoided at all costs. That's terrible in order to succeed. That's not true. Yet in reality, countless people have proven that it is possible to raise children and still chase your dreams, build careers, and achieve personal desires. It's so possible. Because remember, children are a gift from God. Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, it's always my hope and desire that someday these young adults, they will discover the truth, learn God, know God, and live a peaceable life full of hope, peace, meaning, and fulfillment, so that God can be praised through their lives. I long for that day to be a reality. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to click on the next one. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. I'll see you again next time. It's bye-bye for now.